All right, welcome to the program, everyone. Welcome to the Quick Draw, where we always shoot the shit, but we never miss our mark. I'm your host, Mike, aka Orner Young Guns, the mean Mormon with a mouth. With me are my friends and my co-host, John, the token of all beyond tokens. He's here to make me feel less guilty about my innate racism. And then Dee, my other co-host, lovely Dee, very brilliant. She's on a babysitting assignment from our Jewish paymasters to make sure we don't act out too much. So we're probably going to get beaten anyway with a wet noodle. It's okay. So we're going to have a fun conversation today. You know, the big thing for us that we want to talk about today is outrage fatigue. That's what we've been talking about all week. The left has this uncanny ability to make people just go, oh, God, here we go again. So... and that's always fun, right? You love it when you go to work or you go to your front yard to get the mail and your left-wing liberal neighbor with his stupid Obama sticker, which might as well say, yes, I'm a fucking moron. You love it when you're like, hey, and then they talk politics and you're just like, oh, God.
You don't even have to talk politics. It's not even necessary to do that.
That's a little unfair, but kind of true.
His wife.
What'd you say, Dee?
I said Mike Pence won't have dinner with a woman. He's not his wife.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you won't have sex or you won't do anything that looks bad. Okay, that's cool. Like,
which is funny because that's like half the arguments against Trump. So
I think my wife would appreciate if I never ever talked to another woman. She'd love that. She'd be like, "That's cool. It's all right. I'm okay with this." But you can't do anything without pissing off the left if you're a conservative, and that is exhausting.
Not just a conservative.
It's funny. You almost have to wonder if. I mean, that's kind of like the whole Trump campaign is like, I wonder how much I can get the left to support things they opposed just by opposing them.
Yeah, get Trump to go for it and then be like, oh my God, we can't do that. In
one breath, we hate the military. The military sucks. It's a bunch of baby killers. In another breath, hey, trans should serve in the military. Okay, can you pick one, please? We're okay with one or the other. Can you please pick one? Military is bad, or let's get all the trannies in the military. I mean,
also the problem is, I think the function of the military, I think, is either we're going between either the military is for actually, killing people and stuff like that, versus, hey, it's a social experiment. Let's just throw random people in the situation, see what they do.
They were right with the killing people. I mean, not the killing babies part, but they were right about the killing people. That's what it does. It breaks shit and kills people until the other guys say, okay, uncle, we give up. We're done. So, I will say this about the outrage's tendency to, like, make people not want to talk to them is conservatives that at least that I found. I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but the conversations that I'm actually having with fellow conservatives and libertarians and small government people, I mean, people who actually believe this, not the cultists from either side of the aisle that just want big government, but they want bigger government.
Not the deplorables.
Right. Yeah, not the MAGA cultists and not the left-wing nut jobs. The people that are actually sane, let's put it that way, the people that are functional and not sociopaths, those people actually have interesting opinions. They actually have good conversations. There's a dialogue. I mean, I don't always agree with some of my conservative friends, but it's kind of nice to know that if I have a difference of opinion, I can actually have a conversation with people that disagree with me. The trans man was a perfect example of this, by the way. And I had a really good friend. She's very smart. I respect her a lot. So, she was a little frustrated with people on the right who were just kind of being assholes about the whole trans ban thing. But I had I didn't have an opinion on it just yet until I wanted to listen to both sides. So I listened to both sides. I listened to what she had to say, I listened to what other people had to say, and I decided my opinion was not quite in line with hers. Wonderful conversation. We had great debate. We didn't agree. We ended up not convincing each other that the other person was right. But it gave us some insight into our own motivations, our own justification for why we thought. And at the end of the day, I feel like I walked away from the conversation confident in my arguments. I'm sure she walked away feeling confident in her arguments. Neither one of us had any animosity or butthurt over not getting the other person to acquiesce. So I guess it's one good thing about the left going absolutely batshit insane is that the sane people are have an incentive now to be even like more sane than we normally are.
Well, plus it tips those people who were kind of leaning their away because, like, take Dave Rubin. Now, Dave Rubin sometimes annoys me because he spends a lot of time straddling the fence, I like to think. But I like him. He's a decent guy. Now, you know, he considered himself a member of the left. But the left has gone so insane that he can't reside there. That's how bad it is. People who would consider themselves leftists are leaving it because they're like, okay, I know I'm a leftist, but I'm not that crazy. Dude, seriously, and that's it. The left has gone so insane. Their own people are walking away like, yeah, I don't think so. I think that's a little too much for me. You know, so I think at the end of the day, it's just a problem of the fact that the left thinks that all these issues that they're going on about are things that other people care about. They're in such a bubble that they think everyone cares about these things. Because I've run across people who think, you know, like with trans, where it's just like, oh, no, people are okay with this. People are totally good with this. Really? I haven't met any. I was going to say, you know, it's not that they hate the people. It's just, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, can we just maybe not force people to change grammar or basic concepts of gender? And they lose it because how dare you even say that? And so the left pretty much abandons and alienates its own people. So, and people just get sick of it. It's just like, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I don't even want to talk to you anymore because all you do is come at me with.
And the thing is, people are tuning out.
Right.
It's you cannot have a conversation. There's no conversation. And it's funny. I spent the last 3 days at a conference it was basically summer camp for my MBA. It was a bunch of MBA students getting together, and we were talking about these different personality types, and and it was interesting because they brought up the topic of politics and how there is this one core personality type, this drive for control and this drive for power that's causing the divisiveness. You know, nobody that is having these reactions, they don't care about relationships, they care about unification. It's all lip service. What they're saying is, oh, it's interesting because the left will say, oh, we need bipartisan, we need to get along, we need to be friendly with one another. It's like, yeah, you're saying that now and your guy's fucking lost. But what we're seeing here is it's really not about that. People really don't care about the relationship. What they care about is being right. What they care about is trumping the other guy, no pun intended. What they care about is kicking the other guy's ass. And that's not a way to have a healthy dialogue. You're never going to build coalitions. You're never going to be you're never going to actually get anything done. And it's kind of funny. The comparison that I was thinking of is, you know, Democrats have kind of gone the way of most empires right after their golden age. You know, you look at the Japanese in the 1800s, you look at the Islamic Empire during the 1200s, like they all thought that they were great, that they were the epitome of the Enlightenment. That their golden age was 8 years of Obama. They were so convinced that their empire could not be defeated, that they could not, it would never end. And what ends up happening? It started crumbling around them, and I think that contributes a little to why they're going out of their freaking minds. What do you guys think?
Well, you're going to say something, D. I thought. Thought D had something.
Please tell me we didn't drop out. Technical difficulties.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I also hear your cat.
Come on, guys.
He's an asshole. Okay.
Son of a bitch.
A few things that. Can you hear me, John? Or
yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Is clearly talking.
Okay.
And we cannot hear her.
Paris. Okay.
Well, I hear her fine. Sorry, people. I was going to say.
John is clearly talking, and
technical
I
issue.
can't hear either of them.
Oh, well, crap.
So this is a disaster. This is an absolute clusterfuck.
Oh,
all right, we made it 10 minutes in without technical difficulties. That's awesome. I think that's a record for us, folks. This has been a very interesting night so far. We're going to try to get this fixed so we can continue the show. Can you guys just like pop out and pop back in using the link I sent you?
I think so. Hold on.
So we're going to continue. I'm going to continue talking while we wait for them. So, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. You cannot advance your agenda to any leftist that's actually listening to this show. First of all, why would you do that to yourself? Because we're just going to make fun of you for the rest of the evening. I apologize in advance, but sorry, not sorry.
Okay.
You know, your agenda, whatever it is, you got to be sane about it. We're not gonna just roll over because of the righteousness of your ideology or what you think is the righteousness of your ideology. Be a little sensitive to the fact that half of this country, at least half of this country, disagrees with you, and right now, a lot more than half of the country, every time you open your phone,
right?
Because you're fucking psychotic.
I got back in.
Are you guys back on?
I am. I was gonna say.
John?
You can't hear me, can you?
John?
I'm right here. Right here. Oh, right here.
You're not? No, I'm not hearing anything, bud.
Uh-oh. This might have been on your end, I was going to say.
Yay, Windows.
Hey, well, I hear you. That's the problem.
I clicked on something? What?
I hear you just fine. I heard you the whole time.
This is an absolute clusterfuck.
I don't know.
I appreciate your patience, guys, while we try to get this figured out. I feel like we were warned about this. Can you hear me? I hear somebody.
Yeah, I hear you. You okay? There's D coming in.
Okay.
It was working fine literally before we went live. I think that was the problem right there.
I swear, guys, we are competent. We actually know kind of, sort of what we're doing. It's a bit of a learning curve. You know, it's funny. We've actually we tried actually doing recordings before we went to, you know, somebody very nice, Steph McWilliams, who you should all follow and you should all check her out at Halsey News, because she actually helped show us how to use Google Hangouts. She actually showed it. Yes, we can. We're good. She actually showed us how to live stream on YouTube. So prior to that, we were actually trying to figure out how to do podcast recordings. So we've done this stunt like 3 or 4 times to try to get it right and to kind of learn how to do this. And ironically enough, the left has not gassed itself. It's still going and going and going like a psychotic sociopathic Energizer bunny.
So can you hear me?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, good. I was going to say that this is actually one of those things, like the whole thing with Chuck Schumer when he came out and he was trying to say he wanted to unite the Democrats, you know, because they have basically 2 wings at this point, and those 2 wings hate each other. That's the funny thing about all this, is he's like, I'm going to unite us, and it's like, yeah, no, you're not. Because the thing is this, you've got on the one hand the Sanders crowd who's like, 99% versus the 1%, you know, and they're trying to win back the blue-collar workers because at least they're smart enough to have figured out that Trump took that constituency from them.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
And so that constituency went to Trump. So then on the other end, they've got the intersectional crowd where they're like, hey, you know, white people are terrible and white men suck and they're the source of all trouble in the world. And it's like, how do you unite those 2 wings when part of the blue collar crowd largely is white men? You can't. So
hold on. I'm going to go back out and then back in.
Okay. Oh crap! Now it's the other way around. She couldn't hear us. So I couldn't say because I could hear her fine. I've heard you fine the whole time. But you know, that was my take on that. Was just that ultimately the Democrats are in a bit of trouble. The only reason both parties basically are able to survive because the other party is totally incompetent. The Republicans are setting themselves on fire. You know, they're basically going crazy. But the only reason it's not hurting them so badly is because Democrats are even worse off. And Democrats, in the same way, would be hurt more by the fact that they're losing their minds, but for the fact that Republicans also are, and all for the same reason. Or similar reasons.
It almost makes you wonder too if the reason why the left hasn't caught on to their monkey shit fights. That's what they're doing. It's a monkey shit fight every day. It's like with Dana Lash and the fisking thing. Like they actually thought they were being clever by confusing fisking with fisting, because obviously they're deaf or not paying attention. Oh, she said fisting. Okay, first of all, even if she did,
make any sense.
Well, you know, but even if she did, it's still funny. Like, we're gonna fist the New York Times. Okay, I can get on board with that. I'd pay money to watch that. All right. But no, obviously she said fisking. And then what's funny is then they try to roll back. Then they try to roll back, and they're all like, "What's fisking? Oh, really?
What's fisking?
Yeah, no one's now joining us on the internet. You just now welcome to Twitter 2017. You know, 2001 called to it would like its internet back. I mean,
nobody uses that word. It's like everybody uses that
everybody
word.
Knows what it may not be used a lot, but everyone knows what it is. Come on, it's bullshit. Nobody believes for a second that when leftists are like, "Oh, we don't know what fisking is." Yes, you fucking do. Yeah. Okay, everybody does it, and but they do it. And they do it, and I can't help but wonder if the reason why they do this, because it doesn't work on the average guy, but as they've shown clearly time and time again with their elitism, with their condescension, with the way they only care about voters after they lose them, the only reason they do all this shit flinging, you know, like they're monkeys out of a zoo, is because it still works on the Republicans in Washington. They still like sweat bullets every time some leftist shits their pants over a trans ban or a weird internet term or anything that people feel like they should be offended about. They're the ones that are still motivated by terms like racist and homophobic and Islamophobic. Like the rest of us are kind of numb. We're just like,
because the terms don't really mean anything. The terms don't mean anything, and that's the trouble. But you know, leftists have so elasticized the word; it no longer means anything. The homophobia never meant anything. Transphobic doesn't mean anything. You know, the idea that people are xenophobic is a stupid idea that only makes sense if you rest on the assumption that everyone who's not you is a racist. So basically it's all meaningless buzzwords. That's basically, I said recently on Facebook, I said that progressivism, because that's what we're dealing with here, is basically just a jumble of meaningless buzzwords and just worthless platitudes wrapped in a messiah complex. That's essentially the entirety of it. It's just I want to feel better about myself, and I want to feel better, like I'm morally superior to you. So I'm just gonna say all these stupid things, and you can't hear me, can you?
I can now. You're cutting out for like 2 seconds.
Okay, but yeah, that's what I was.
It's gonna be half the entertainment.
I know, right? It's just trying to fix.
They're gonna watch. It's gonna be one half us making fun of liberals, and then one half of us just like
laughing and trying to explain to
jerking off. They're gonna be like,
it's also D. I know D is sitting there because she's smiling. I see her. I don't know if she can hear me. I don't know who can hear who. That's the problem.
D, are you there? D. Okay. You haven't said anything, so you are welcome to pipe in. People really are going to think you're just here as our Jewish paymaster babysitter. Like she's just here to make sure John and I don't get too out of control or reveal the super secret world domination meetings that they have
with the Bilderbergers, right? You're related.
The Bilderbergers, the Rothschilds, with their gay frogs.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, so like part of this, like,
I can.
We'll give you the thumbs up until we can't hear you. Okay.
So you just stay like this the whole time, just until it goes away.
Just like
that. There we go.
There's like 8 billion points because I haven't spoken since.
I still got it. Still good.
Partial responsibility for that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I won't argue that. So D.
But D, go ahead. Get your 8 billion points off your chest before your microphone cuts out again, please.
Going back to one of John's like very first points that he made, where he was like, people on the left who would be left, except they don't want to go crazy anymore. That's happening across the board. I saw on Twitter that Judd Apatow, who is like leftist in all of TV, movie making media, wrote a post saying, pretty soon we're not going to be able to have people act unless they and I'm just sitting here like, this is your fault, you giant.
Censored you.
You giant douchebag.
Like, congratulations for saying that there's a problem, but part of this problem is because of you and your pandering to social justice freaks. Okay, wanted to get to on the whole trans ban thing, because yes, it did open up dialogue that we have on the right, but my fear is that like, so crazy that I find myself defending positions that I wouldn't necessarily take just because I don't want to defend the crazy. And it's frustrating because I think like we have like an actual dialogue in that sense, because if I'm too busy defending something that I don't even actually believe just for the sake of defending it, like that's sort of how we got Jeff Sessions, who I don't like. A lot of like more close, small government people aren't a big fan of him because of some
like Jeff Sessions?
Anybody
like Jeff Sessions? I mean, conservatives don't like him. That's a good reason to not like him. And then leftists don't like him because dark my racism. So blah, 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 racism.
If they had focused on the asset forfeiture at the beginning instead of focusing on the racism, which doesn't actually exist because I don't think he's actually racist, and more people were racist and attacking him, and his were actually like actually him. But if they had focused on the civil asset forfeiture, they got in a few of the Republicans and independents not voting for him. Like that wouldn't have been confirmed. I'm pretty sure Sassy and Rand Paul would have bounced over to vote. It's intellectually dishonest to me that screaming and shitting their pants over these little issues that don't actually have any bearing, or like, so what? Who cares if he's actually a racist?
Right.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, for the left, racism is like the unforgivable sin, but I can think of a lot of things a lot worse things a person could be than a racist. Like, I don't know, bank fraud, Bernie.
Maybe not Sanders, but still, there was also fraud from Sanders too.
I meant Sanders. I was talking Bernie Sanders.
Oh, okay, good.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, there's so many worse things you could be than a racist. Because if you think about it, if you don't actually have any power, which racists don't, there's what, like 5,000 KKK? I think that's being generous, honestly. There's 5,000 KKK in this country. Racists don't have any power. Racism is not institutionalized. Is it a problem? Yes, it's absolutely a problem. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist in this country. I actually see it all the time with my Hispanic wife. I get dirty looks with her all the time when we go out to public. Our kid is super white, our oldest. And so people think she's the nanny. They just assume she's the nanny.
Oh God, that's
like it's, and they talk to her as if she's the nanny, or they actually ask, "Are you the nanny?"
Did they look at the kid?
It's like, and you just want to punch people in the throat when they do that. Racism is a problem. What's not a problem is Jim Crow. What's not a problem is a lack of civil rights. Those things were taken care of. They're gone. We don't have to worry about them. Okay, are there other issues that we need to worry about? Absolutely. But you know, this idea that someone who's racist is the worst person in the world. They're not hurting anyone, really. They might hurt your feelings. They might make you want to hit them, and you know, they may cry like a bitch if you sucker punch them. Looking at you,
yeah,
Mr.
Spencer. Yeah,
but if you, you know, they're not actually hurting anyone. They're just being assholes, and there's no crime with being an asshole. You just do what you normally did growing up with assholes. You walked away. You ignored them. You left them alone. And then pretty soon they figure out, I'm going to die alone and unloved if I keep being an asshole. Now, unfortunately, with the advent of social media and the internet, the assholes can all get together in their little asshole corners of 4chan and Reddit and Twitter and be assholes together and engage in a little asshole circle jerk. But the left is getting worked up over nothing. They get all excited over nothing. There's this buildup and this tension and this big show. And, oh, we're going to get rid of Trump. We're going to kick him out because of the Russians. And we're going to take back all the seats that we lost by doing the same thing that we did for 7, 8 years. Like, that's insanity, people. It's a political cock tease, okay? That's what this is. It's a giant political cock tease. And you know what? Americans have the worst case of political blue balls. They're done. They're tired. They want to get shit done. And they want to get shit done that's actually beneficial to them. You taking care of racism, it's not going to help me. You know, okay, so I have to deal with one less asshole in the supermarket. Okay.
Nor is it going to help me. And then the thing is just that, again, you know, since we're talking on racism, and I get to be the black guy, yay. But the thing is that, look.
The token beyond tokens.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, look, there's a phrase I read in I know I so badly wanted to attribute the quote to myself, but I can't. But it was a quote where it said that, are there still individual racists in America? Of course there are. But they're not all white. In fact, I'm not even convinced they're mostly white. If you grew up among the circles I have, if you've been in the circles I've been in, it is not hard to figure out that many racists are not white. The problem is the left assumes that all racists are white, and this is another reason why they keep creating so many problems. Because what they do is they'll say basically that, well, if you're white, we assume you're a racist, you know, and this is where we get to the intersectionality, and this is another reason why they lost in 2016, because white people who voted for Obama, and Obama called them racist for 4 years, then 2012, they said, okay, we're trying to show you we're not racist. We're going to vote for you again, okay? And then he called them racist for another 4 years. And then in 2016, Hillary comes out and says, you are racist. And not only you're racist, now you're sexist too. And they're like, fuck it, I'm done. Fuck it. Nope, that's it. I'm voting for the one guy who's not calling me racist. He's not even likable. You're right, I don't like him. He's also not calling me a racist. Go to hell. So basically, that was essentially the calculus of it. That's another way people just get turned off. They get to the point where they're like, you know what, fuck it, I don't care. And that's bad for all of us, really, because it means that genuine problems never get solved, because, you know, genuine issues never get heard, because we're too busy getting sick and having to defend stupid things, you know, like Sargon of Akkad was always saying, or he is a leftist, so says he, but he spends most of his time having to deal with the left. He says, I'd rather be attacking the right, but I have to spend too much time defending them from your stupidity, so now I have to spend more time doing something I don't want to do because you're an idiot.
That's what you're talking about is, you know, people are hungry for a rational debate. People are hungry for honesty in debate. Like, we don't have to agree. I don't care that leftists disagree with me on key issues. What I care is the lack of honesty. What I care is the lack of integrity in these debates. There is not an honest discussion going on. We're too busy disputing facts. We're too busy disputing, you know, the epistemology of our arguments, what we consider to be the truth. Dee, please tell me you're still with us.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Just go check like every 5 minutes and make sure you're still here. We do love you, and we do want you here on the show with us. So, what are your? I'm actually going to ask because I just want to get her in this as much as possible before her computer craps out on us. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts. Okay. You're still answering my point.
Yeah,
So-
I referenced your point about the just it's the craziness, the intellectual honest or lack of intellectual honesty, and the fact that
Right.
people it's not just the people on the right like you,
so,
it's
like,
people on the left that are saying there's some people on the left saying, you know what, okay, let's chill the fuck out.
They do it on purpose, I think. Like the whole resistance and like Bernie and Elizabeth Warren like sort of stir the pot. Both of those people. But they try to stir the pot against conservatives and against people on the right. It's called originally on with.
You're getting choppy there, dear.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're breaking up.
Yes.
Want me to sign?
Maybe that's best. Just pop in, pop out again. Whatever it takes.
Okay. Guys, in 10 minutes.
We're going to start a GoFundMe for Deb so she can actually get a decent computer. Maybe what is it? Her computer's like 7 years old right now.
Something like that.
So,
if it's running Vista, it's probably it's got to be from before 2010 because that's when 7 came out. So yeah.
Jesus. And Vista sucked. Vista sucked when it was current.
Yeah, Vista was the modern day.
Vista was never good
No.
to begin with. I'm pretty sure it's bad when it's obsolete. So
yeah,
that's just great.
okay. We'll help her. We'll figure it out because we should totally do, a Kickstarter. I like that. Just do a crowdfunding thing.
Just do a nice little GoFundMe for her. I mean,
all we need is like
it's
like $400. That's all. Just like $400, dude. That's all it is.
It's fun to kind of tie. We'll tie GoFundMe into what we're talking about here. Like what I find funny about GoFundMe, I almost like just destroyed my desk here. Is the left is always making the argument, well, we need more government, because if you don't have government, it's not like people are going to donate. It's not like people are going to help each other. You can go to GoFundMe. Like you go to GoFundMe and you find a million, examples of people legitimately trying to help each other out. It's not all fraud. It's not all people just like begging for handouts.
Not even most.
What I find interesting about it is if you go onto GoFundMe and you look, and I'm stingy. I'll be honest. Like if I'm going to help someone, I do it in the way that requires the least amount of dole. In other words, I'm not saying I won't help them. I'm not saying I won't give of my substance or give of my time, but I prefer to give in a way where the person's actually progressing and developing themselves so that they don't need me to help them in the future.
Right.
So typically the way that boils down to is, okay, I'll help someone get a job, or I'll give them food, or I'll give them clothes, or I'll maybe do something around their house if they have a home to help them out around the house so that they don't have to just stress out so much and they can go work and get some money and then pay for the things they need to pay for. But I mean, you see stuff on GoFundMe for things like computers. Like, hey, I need a brand new laptop for college. I just need to raise like a couple grand for a decent laptop. I want to get a Macintosh. It's going to really help me with my arts degree, whatever. Which probably that's all it's good for. I'm using the Mac, full disclosure. But stuff like that, I would never give to, because to me that's like extra. Like you should work for that. But the reality is there are people willing to do that. There are people that say, hey, we'll give you money because it's the nice thing to do. It's the friendly thing to do. Like,
we lost you again.
No, yeah, I know. She dropped out. She's going to come back. And people do that selflessly. So we might start a GoFundMe for Deb if she comes back in and can't talk again.
I know we absolutely should.
We didn't know this might be a problem, so we're just kind of rolling with it and having fun with it. But please help us out.
Please, we're begging you.
Please help us out. Please help me.
I see you.
Yay, he's back. All right.
Okay, for how long?
Did you hear us when you were here? Like, were you able to listen in? Hello?
Uh-oh. What happened?
Hello?
No.
Hey.
Come on.
God damn it.
Oh my God, it's terrible. And what's worse is the fact that it waited until right after we started, because as long as we weren't live, everything was good.
Yeah, what I find what is most frustrating is she lives in another state, so I can't like actually go to her and be like, okay, I can troubleshoot this for you, I can fix this for you, I know how to work around this.
I could like use a team viewer.
It is what it is, you know. D is actually a great contributor to what we do at Ornery Young Guns, which is mostly just pick on people. We with arguments. Like we're not mean. Well, I can be. I'm actually a very mean person if you piss me off. But most people don't piss me off as much as I pretend to be pissed off online. But you know, it's you'd be amazed at how easy it is to outrage the left just by pointing out little things like facts or logical fallacies that they like
biology.
Or biology. It's like, hey, party of science. Not really. I had you know, somebody, I tweeted this out earlier today. Somebody was bragging. Like they thought this was like a real accomplishment and that they were pointing out something like very intelligent. And I read it like 3 times to see like where, at what point did this get as clever or as intelligent as they thought it clearly was. But this person, which I think was a dude, but the bio said she, her. So I'm not entirely sure. And it's so confusing. I don't want to keep up with this shit. 96 genders. No, fuck off. Okay. You know, if you want to call yourself a chick, well, when you really were born a dude, I won't indulge that. That's just me personally. But it's not because I don't like. It's not like I hate people that they're doing that. I don't.
No,
it's just really I cannot wrap my head around it. In a way, it's kind of like the way some trans people can't wrap their head around the fact that they're not the gender they feel. They're not the sex that they feel. I can't wrap my head around the fact that you feel differently. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I imagine that's somebody's version of hell. Like to be trapped in your own body is your own personal hell. But this person was like, oh yeah, like somebody was advocating how women are more attached to people. So women take interest in people. I'm going to kill your cat, D. I'm sorry. That when we can hear you, I want to kill your cat. I want to kill your cat.
I wanted to make the joke there about the fact
that I can't hear you.
Cat,
of course you can't. I figured that. You didn't laugh at the joke. All right. God damn, it's not one thing, it's another.
I can hear D, but I don't know if she can hear me.
We'll just hear her. So this person was like, well, you know, women advocate, or women take more interest in people. Women like to service people. They like to talk to people. They like to interact with people. Guys take an interest in things. So we like to tinker. We like to build. We like to do things with our hands. So there was a study that came out and kind of showed that was a correlation. Now, I don't know what that means. What I have found in studies that I've looked at that compare genders is oftentimes what they'll do, it is statistical significance. But the thing about statistical significance is you have to, one, determine your sample size is large enough. And then the other thing that you have to determine is the effect size. So you can when you take a sample of men and women, you typically have a huge sample size, which means you're statistically significant. But then often what you'll find is that the differences between the sex really don't have that huge effect. They're really marginal. So like if women's interest in things are like, if you rank them, if you have more ranking and they're like, their rank is 65 and men are ranked 66 or 64 when it comes to liking people, well, you would say, okay, women like people more than men, but there really that's not a big difference between the two in terms of ranking them. So I didn't check the stats. I don't know I don't know what the area of effect is, but just given my own experience, I imagine it's not a huge difference. But it is an interesting thing. It was being used to explain how women there's not a lot of women in tech industries. There's not a lot of female welders, although they do exist. There's not a lot of female engineers. Like, that was one of my big things when I studied engineering in college, was like, where are the white women at? Like, there was nothing. There was absolutely, like for every 5 or 10 guys, there was maybe one chick. Yep. And she was either not very attractive, or she was, but if she was, I guarantee you she had a boyfriend and or was married. So it was just like,
she was going to get hit on by everyone in that class.
Exactly. So it was just like, there was no dating within the engineering, between engineers. It just didn't happen.
Same when I was trying to take my tech classes. Same thing. It's one girl and she dropped out like 2 weeks in.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could use this study to explain that disparity. It's not a huge revelation. We know that there are less women in tech industries. We know that. And it's not because women aren't welcome. Like, in my university, where I graduated college, they bent over backwards to let women into the engineering program. They wanted more women in the engineering program. They did everything they could to recruit and admit qualified women into the program. It's just not a lot of women were interested. They all went into the nursing major or the liberal arts majors or the education majors. Why? Because those work with people. So this person on Twitter is just like, well, people are advocating this, and so I went to go find all the people that were saying this was true, and I went to block them, and it looks like 2/3 of them were already blocked. I guess that was a trend. It's like, okay, you're the party of science. You can say you're the party of science, or you can block everyone who espouses a scientific view that you don't like. But you can't do both.
Plus, everyone's everyday experience kind of tells you that these things don't make sense. Because, look, like you said, there's not a lot of women, say, in take again STEM fields. Another thing, gaming. Remember the whole Gamergate thing, or how, Sarkeesian going on and on and on about how everyone who plays Call of Duty apparently is a male chauvinist pig who hates women playing the games. Actually meet people who play these things. Plop like one good, attractive single woman among them and tell me how much they hate them. Nah, not so much. I play Magic the Gathering. I go to collectibles shops. You know what? You put one attractive single girl in there and they will have no shortage of attention at all. You will have about
well, that's usually what happens.
Billion
that's usually what happens when you put a woman in a room full of virgins. No offense.
Right. Hey, I'm no virgin, okay? And I should point out that, again, especially playing Magic, I always find it funny because it's like one girl walks in and then the first thing, do you know how to play? And you'll have like 50 offers, I'll teach you how to play. Like I said, everybody wants girls playing. The interest is not there. That's the problem. It's, again, this is no different. I know it's cliche, but it's like the argument about the NBA. Supposedly, well, it's mostly black. Does that mean that they're keeping out white people? No, it's that there are more world-class black players than white ones. The NHL, people will say, oh, well, no one says it, but I said by their logic, it's got to be racist. It's mostly white. I said, point me to the first black guy you've ever known that wanted to play hockey. Answer, I don't know any.
I would say there was that one guy on Twitter that, like, apparently he'd never heard of hockey. And so, like, he saw hockey for, like, the first time, and he's like, holy shit, white people have been holding out on us. What the hell? This shit is lit.
Hey, if you want to play, be my guest. I am not interested.
I don't watch sports, so...
I don't mind sports, but hockey. I know she's been in and out of this thing. Like,
she's just reporting back to our Jewish overlords. We have officially lost control of this show.
Well, which means that at this point that they're probably going to yank us, like with one of those canes, because I think all Jews carry those, right?
I think for goys they use the cattle prod, so I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
I'm gonna say, we'll see her on the Daily Wire like on Monday, right? So probably reporting back to Ben Shapiro, getting some of the Jew gold out of the tumbler. But just it's just that, like I said, and again, that very joke I just made, well, it's about Jews, so I'm sure the left.
And what's funny is the left is going to get all upset that we made that joke. What they're going to fail to realize is that, unlike the alt-right, we didn't make that joke to make fun of Jews or to make fun of to offend leftists. We did that joke to make fun of the alt-right, you know, the actual
Yeah.
anti-Semites, the actual
defending-
Nazis that are out there. We don't care about you guys anymore because you guys are a gold mine of opportunity. We say penis and you guys get upset, especially when we say, like, we use a sentence like, women can't have a penis.
Yeah, and that tends to piss them off. Oh, wait, do you...
Context is everything, right, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
What were you going to say?
Me, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. We can see you. We can hear you. We can see you loud and clear. Get out of your system. Let's go. Go.
Oh my God. The first, I finally could hear you at the most random thing. Like, we don't talk about Jews. I'm like, wait, what?
Perfect timing.
What?
So we don't talk about Jews. It's like,
Well, I thought she was dropped out. I think she was going to hear us. Dude, you got to warn me when that shit happens.
oh, sorry, I was
I'm gonna
looking
get
at
so much trouble now.
I'm so confused and so lost right now.
I just realized this is the second time I've been on the air that I managed to insert the word penis into the conversation.
Well, at least it was the word. So wait, okay, what do you got, Dave? I was going to say, because can you hear me, first of all? Because I seem to go in and out.
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
I think
I couldn't.
he's the bottleneck.
Okay.
Dee, what were you saying?
That you were probably going to get filleted alive because you said that women can't have penises. And also,
I live for that.
Right? Well, not getting
I
filleted.
live for it. Come at me, bro.
I say, like, men cannot give birth.
No, they cannot. This is
And
biology.
I've talked to, like, gays and lesbians and stuff, you know, part of that movement of the alphabet soup. They're pissed. Because, like, basically people are telling them, oh, so it is a choice. And they spent...
I imagine that's why they don't get along with bis too well either, but that's another topic.
But it's just... People are like, I really think like this whole intersectional train to hell is on a collision course with itself. Because there's actually, it's really funny. I read
like a circular human centipede.
Yep. Yeah. Oh God, don't do that.
Oh, terrible movies, by the way. And
It's a wonderful imagery, isn't it?
Don't give me that.
Okay.
I'll go get the brain bleach.
I read, like, days apart, there was a piece written by a black man in the New York Times where he was like, really, white women are the worst oppressors of black men because they won't get out of our way. Later, I read a piece by a white woman where she said, men have full sidewalks, so I'm not going to get out of my way. And I'm just thinking, wow, I really want to put these two in a room with each other.
Well, if history's any indication, the white woman will accuse the black guy of trying to rape her.
Never mind, I don't want to put them in a room, but at the same time, I just think that there's just going to be like this whole like intersectionality as it stands right now, that it can be a lasting thing. There's just no way. They're going to.
It's going to eat itself.
But that's what happens when your entire political approach, I guess, is based on oppression Olympics. It's who can win the gold in the oppression Olympics. Who's a bigger victim, and that's where the outrage is coming from. That the outrage is always, I'm the bigger victim. No, I'm the bigger victim. No, I'm the bigger victim. Guys, I'm the bigger victim.
Right.
And then the fat people, guys, no, really, guys, we're the bigger victim.
Yeah, we're all suffering.
But it's just that's where, and again, that's why people are shutting them out. That's why people are just like, okay, here we go again. I'm done.
You're right. Right, you are the biggest victim. Oh, you're such a victim.
Yeah, and you know what? You're gonna keep being a victim, and I'm cool with that. Because you know what? If you're a victim, I'm not. So I guess that means I'm the winner here. If in the clash of ideas here, if you're the victim and I'm not the victim, I'm the winner. I'm the one coming out on top. I don't really care at this point. Like, I'm done. Like, you have zero sympathy from me. So,
except that you're a white guy, so at that point, it doesn't matter what the math is. You still can't be. So at the end of the day, regardless of logic, it doesn't matter. So, yep, whole thing was just completely just turned on its head. So, wait, he is a victim in so many ways, but he's not because he's a white guy. So
and that's why, I think that's why you're seeing, I think you're going to see an uptick, if you haven't seen it already, you're going to see an uptick in actual racism. Because here's what's going to happen, all right? There's, like we mentioned before, there's always been racists. They've just been very small and they had no power. Well, now what's going to happen? They're going to come out of the closet and they're going to start coming out of the shadows because nobody's offended anymore by what they say. And the reason why nobody's offended anymore by the racist things they say is because the left used up all the I'm offended bank account. It's overdrawn. There's nothing left.
Massively.
We're in the negative. The bank is going to foreclose on our house because of all the overdraft fees. We are fucked, okay? Like, there's absolutely nothing that you could say as a racist nowadays that would actually offend people because now people just say, oh, he's being politically correct. No, he's being a racist asshole.
Well, plus,
but understandably, you're numb. So
and the fatigue also leads to real problems because what it means is, and it's just like we've been saying since the election, white people voted as a bloc basically in this past election. They didn't want to. They felt they didn't have a choice because they were constantly told, well, this bloc here, the black bloc, the Hispanic bloc, the gay bloc, the this bloc, the that bloc, they're all voting together. What choice did they have? That works with, again, like you said, the actual racists will come out, but the problem is the actual racists will then be flanked by people who are not racist, but they just feel they don't have much choice. They're backed into a corner, and now again, these are real problems that can come out. This is why I always said I worry sometimes there may be a race war among people who don't even want one. Because the left wants one because they see as long as there's tension between races, they benefit. But so the left does not care about tension between races. In fact, it would be not in their interest to end that tension. However, honest people just don't want it. But the problem is, especially white people, they're going to get back into a corner. As I said, you can only call them racist so long before eventually they're going to feel backed into a corner and they will hit back. You cannot keep assuming that they could just take it and take it and take it. And no, it's not going to happen, which is why the only way to solve this problem, in my opinion, is you have to take the left entirely out of these discussions because they have nothing valuable to offer to them. So at the end of the day, that's it, because the fatigue they create is just one, like you said, it's just where people are so busy defending things they don't want to defend. They don't mean to really defend them, but they have to because the left has gone so completely off their rocker that now you're defending things that normally no one would need to defend or deal with. But that's where we've gone, and it causes real problems that we're going to have to at some point solve. And you know, I worry about what the outcomes of these are, whether it's racially, whether it's between genders, because the left creates tension and strife between men and women because of their nonsense stupidity about forget transgenderism, even just what they've said before transgenderism became a big deal. The unequal pay, there's a patriarchy, men are trying to it's rape culture. All this stuff eventually will make people say, you know what, at this point, I just don't care. And then real cases of this stuff where it may occur, nobody cares about because we can't differentiate them between one or the other. So this is a problem. And D, I saw that.
It's so illiberally the way that they distribute it, it's very uneven. There's, like, for instance, let's talk about rape culture for just a second. You guys remember that news story about the 14-year-old girl who was dragged into the bathroom by two?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
right.
Like, however it happened, like, basically,
she had it coming.
Yeah, they basically said that she had it coming because she was asking for it. But at the same time, they're trying to push out, like, there's no, at any point, and a guy is supposed to stop. Change your mind, which I 100% as a woman, like, I've been in situations before where I've changed my mind and, like, you know, sucks to be you, but you're fucking nasty. I don't want to touch you anymore. So,
so I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah, I know, right?
Not even going to touch that one.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
That's a wise choice.
As long as a guy has a hand, he doesn't need a woman. But anyways, going back.
My 9 days. I'm sorry. No, it's not the same, D. Absolutely not.
I stand in my truth. Okay. Going back.
Well played.
Dropped that. They dropped that, which I technically agree with them on. They dropped it, though, as soon as it wasn't politically within their interest. And they dropped it against a 14-year-old child who had sex, whether she wanted to or not, with two 18-year-olds who are technically adults. Situation that should not have happened at all. But the fact that they dragged a child's name through the mud for their own politics, going against what they spout and what they believe, all it shows to me is that they don't actually believe anything that they say, which makes me want to listen to them less. And then they're just going 24/7, just all the time outrage. But as soon as, like, you need them to outrage about something that is actually important or stand in something that they believe with, it's because those two boys counted more on their weird hierarchy of victimhood than that child did. And I'm going to keep calling her a child because that is what she was. Mm-hmm. She's a child. A child cannot consent. Just not. I'm not going to go into, like, all of that right now. But at the same time,
yeah, we got your eye on salon.com.
The left has. They have put themselves in. They painted themselves in a corner. I think what you're describing is they have this conflict. They claim moral superiority, but they're so inconsistent about it. And then when they try to be consistent, in this situation, what they had were two competing interests, right? Protecting a child from rape and illegal immigration. And the last, what they didn't want was to add to the narrative illegal immigrants are raping children. They didn't want that they didn't want white people on the right to be like, ha, see, we told you. So as a result, as you described, they are completely beyond parody at this point. So, and again, it's just more outrage fatigue. We are out of time for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, or us dicking around. Really, it's not a show so much as us dicking around on the internet.
It's going to be a show.
It will be better, I promise. We're going to start a GoFundMe just so that Deb can get a better computer and we won't have this shit show.
Do you really think we're not serious? We're going to. We're going to do
this. Okay. But please follow us on Twitter. Follow me, Ornery Young Gun, at Ornery YG. You can find John and Dee's profiles in my bio, and so please follow them. We will be doing these regularly every other week. So the next time you guys hear from us, we're going to have an awesome conversation that's going to piss off the left about abortion, children's rights, Planned Parenthood, the whole shit show. So we hope you'll tune into that. Next week, I believe it's next week. I'll double check with me on Twitter. But next week, we actually will be hosting a debate between a Federalist friend of mine that works with us with the Federalist Party and an individual that he'd like to debate. So I will be moderating along with Dee and John next week at 10:30 Eastern Time. So if you want to tune into that'll also be probably another shit show, but it's okay because it's all in good fun. You gotta have fun. That's the point. We have our beliefs. We have our ideology. We believe in what we believe, but at the end of the day, hopefully you believe what you believe because you want to make the world a better place. You want the people around you to live in a better world. If you forget that, then politics just becomes this tiresome, exhausting bullshit that you don't want to deal with. And I love politics. Devin, John, we all love to debate. We love to argue. We love to be right. But maybe a little too much. Maybe to a point where it's a little unhealthy. But at the end of the day, we all want to make the world a better place. And so this is why we do these shows. We want people to see that there's a humorous side of things, that it's fun, that you can have these debates and not necessarily devolve into the monkey poo flinging contest. So have a good night, guys. We appreciate your support, and share with your friends. If you enjoyed the show, please share with your friends. This will be up on YouTube permanently so that you can watch it in the future. Thanks again. You guys have a good night.
Laugh at us.
And you can laugh at us as we totally fuck things up. Have a good night, guys.
Yep.